Hello everybody, this is Dr. Samuel again, and in this video we continue looking at the July 2021 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate Examination in Mathematics. We are coming to the end of the paper. We are on number 10, part C, and this question is a vector question. It reads, the diagram below shows triangle OAB. So we have a triangle OAB in which the vector OA is R. So the whole vector OA is R. You must remember that a vector shows both magnitude and direction. So the magnitude is the length of the line OA, and the direction is also important. So it is shown by the arrow. So we have vector OA. The whole vector OA is R, and then the whole vector OB is S. In addition, E is the midpoint of the line CD, and OC is 3/4 OA, and AD is 2/3 of AB. So that's what we are given. So the first question says, write in terms of R and S in the simplest form an expression for the vector CD. Now the vector CD is right here. This is the vector CD. It goes from C to D. So I put the arrow going from C to D. So how do we find the vector CD in terms of the vectors we have, R and S? Now, to find any unknown vector, all you need to do is to find the known vectors that add up to give that unknown vector. So we have to find the vectors that we can add to find CD. So we can say that vector CD equals vector CA. So we write vector CA plus vector AD. That is how you add vectors. Vector CD, we start from C and we end at D. So we find the vectors, the two or more vectors that will start at C and end at D when you have one followed by the other. So for example, in going from C to D, I can go from C to A and A to D. So vector CD is vector CA plus vector AD. I could have gone another way. I could have gone from C to O, then from O to B, and then from B to D. So vector CD is also equal to vector CO plus OB plus BD. But let's go with what I just wrote. Vector CD is vector CA plus vector AD. So I will have to find out what is vector CA and what is vector AD in terms of R and S. So first, let's look at vector CA. What is vector CA? Let me write it down. Remember, vector OA is R. And you're given that OC, vector OC is 3/4 vector OA. If vector OC is 3/4 OA, it means vector CA is just 1/4 of OA, because 3/4 plus 1/4 is a whole. So let us write CA is 1/4 vector OA, and since vector OA is R, vector CA is 1/4 R. So let's put 1/4R as vector CA. So we have vector CA. Now you must find vector AD. We were given that vector AD is 2/3 vector AB, but we don't have vector AB. But can we find vector AB? Do we have two vectors we can add to get vector AB? Yes, because vector AB is vector AO plus OB. So let's write that down. Vector AB equals vector AO plus vector OB. So what is vector AO? We know that vector OA is R. So therefore, vector AO is the inverse of that, the reverse of that. So that is negative R. We just reverse the sign. So vector AO is minus R. So now what is vector OB? We know it, it's there. Vector OB is S. And so therefore vector AB is R, minus R, sorry, plus S. And since vector AD is 2/3 vector AB, let's continue here. Therefore, vector AD equals 2/3 times vector AB, which is minus R plus S. We can just put S minus R to make it look a little better. S minus R. So we have AD. So now we can find vector CD by adding CA plus AD. So vector CD equals vector CA, which is 1/4 R, plus AD, which is 2/3 times S minus R. But then we can't leave the answer like that because we are told to write in its simplest form. So we have to simplify that expression. To simplify it, the first thing we do is take out the bracket. So that's a quarter R plus 2/3 times S is 2/3 S and plus 2/3 times minus R is minus 2/3 R. So to simplify this, we add the R's, a quarter R minus 2/3 R, by bringing both to the same common denominator, that's the LCM of 4 and 3, which is 12. A quarter, bring it to the denominator 12, we multiply by 3, so we get 3 over 12 R minus 2/3 R, we multiply by 4 to bring it to 12, so we get minus 8 over 12 R, and then you have the plus 2/3 S. So, what is 3 over 12 minus 8 over 12? 3 minus 8 is a negative 5. You'll get negative 5 over 12 R for the R's. So, we can put the answer as negative 5 over 12 R plus 2/3. And that is the answer for the first part of the vector question. We will look at vectors in a little more detail and step by step in a subsequent video. Right now we are just answering the past paper questions. So we'll move on to part 2. See part 2 in the next video. So as usual, if you like this video, please subscribe, and you can also like the video and share the video. I will see you next time.